want to address like the homophobia that has been sort of rampant in the community within the past. What would you say, Donnie? Like, it's always been there, but I feel like it's been
Mm-hmm.
particularly bad recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say it's. I mean, I've dealt with homophobia in the fandom since like 2003, but I feel like social media has made it much more prevalent and easy for everyone to see. So I think that that's why it feels like it's gotten a lot worse. Not only homophobia, like especially transphobia has been like a
Mm,
huge thing in the fandom recently too.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and so Donnie, you've been putting up a series of videos, sort of addressing the topic, talking about allyship and that good stuff. And one of the things that you brought up, there was a video where you were posting receipts, like screenshots of things in action. And I thought that this was a really important topic because, it's not too long ago I reached out to you on Twitter because there was like a very dedicated Twitter account that had started harassing me.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to make a big thing about it because I know that if you give these people attention, that's what they're looking for. So it was more like, let me DM you, ask for your help in reporting it, all that stuff. And then when you made the video, you were talking about how like, people are always asking for proof, always asking for proof. And to me, it's like this give and take where
Hmm.
if you if you give proof, the people doing it sort of get what they want. They get that attention out of you, that rise out of you. But if
Yeah.
they don't give proof, then it makes it more difficult for some people to believe that it's actually happening. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to maybe pass it off to you to talk about
Mhm.
that balance.
No, I appreciate you carving out a space to talk about this because, I mean, I think a lot of it happened last year when there was a pretty large conversation in the fandom circulating around like misogyny, racism, homophobia, a whole variety of various social issues that we see in our fandom. And many people are quick to note that these things happen in every fandom, and I'm of course not going to deny that. But I feel like the Godzilla fandom, we're pretty self aware, and I feel like we're able to kind of look at these things and, figure out solutions. But so, I mean, over the years, like for like the last 10, 15 years on YouTube, I've been doing a lot of videos about, you know, what it was like growing up as a gay Godzilla fan, what it was like kind of like navigating like bullying experiences online, navigating creepy behavior that I had to deal with when I was really young online. And at a certain point, I would say the last 2 or 3 years, there's been like this loud group of people who've been like kind of being accusatory in the sense that like, oh, you're doing this for attention. Why aren't you showing proof? Why aren't you providing those receipts if it's such an issue that's important to you? And usually, I kind of just like ignore those comments. But I've gotten to the point where I'm like, like I need to figure something out. So, I mean, at a certain point, I thought about a lot of the younger LGBTQ plus people in the fandom who kind of flock to the Godzilla fandom as a form of escape, and not really being in a safe place where they can like share their perspective or maybe their experiences. And I thought about where I am now. Like I'm in my mid 30s. This is not my first rodeo. I have a platform and a voice, and I felt that I'm at a point where I'm safe, where I could share like some receipts selectively, some that are mostly directed toward me and not to the community as a whole. So I decided to do that video after receiving that criticism because I want to show those people like, because these people are the ones often who say, well, it's not really happening because I'm not seeing it. And it's like, well, if you need proof of it happening, here you go. Like I am grateful that they are not in the spaces where they're seeing that type of commentary from people,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I shared those comments, and I my goal was to attach a call to action to it in the sense of like, hey, these things do happen. The biggest problem that I've confronted in the Godzilla fandom is this bystander effect, where a lot of people may see like anti-LGBTQ plus behavior or other forms of discrimination in the fandom, used to gatekeep people out, and a lot of the bystanders don't say anything. Like they just
Mm.
allow it to happen. And I feel like if we considering our bandwidth, try to take a more active role in calling those things out, being like, hey, that's not cool. Don't call someone a slur, or hey, don't gatekeep someone out of the fandom simply because it's a particular escape for them. Like, everyone has a seat at the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that was kind of like my motivation behind that, and kind of my ongoing motivating factor for the conversations I have.
Mm-hmm.
You want to
Right.
know what it is? And this is just going to be like a repeated answer throughout this whole thing. Is just people do not want to engage in anything that will be in conflict with their own personal happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you tell them, "Oh, this is happening," well, I don't want to deal with that. Or if anything that's contradictory to what their own status is, they don't want to deal with that because it feels like you're being told to do something.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even matter if it's any specific topic.
Mm-hmm.
It could be about anything about attacking people of different ethnicities, their own race, their own gender, their own what have you. Or it could just be about movie opinions or any of that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just people want to gatekeep themselves and hide themselves in their little communities and will attack anyone else
Mm-hmm.
or like hide themselves off and they'll put their fingers in their ears and just like not listen because nobody's willing to open up to anyone because it's much easier to do that.
Yeah.
That's the simple answer is because it's too hard. It drowns you when if you try to do that, and most people don't want to do that.
And I agree with that completely. And I want to add too that, like, for those in the LGBTQ plus community and other marginalized communities, like, I know there's like this expectation to like provide proof of the negative things being said, but like, think about the people being the recipients of those things. Like, they not only have to like navigate feeling unsafe in general, but they also have to navigate being the educator in any given moment, where they have to be like, hey, this is happening and this is how it's problematic. I know that's the thing that also makes a lot of people uncomfortable who don't want to have to confront those issues, but I would say that's one of my big motivating reasons why I created Growing Up with Godzilla too, is because like there are people who don't like having those types of social conversation, like conversations
Mm-hmm.
about social issues, right? And I was like, well, if people don't really like having that conversation, then I'm going to at least create a space with my own platform where I can have that conversation and at least show people that our fandom is super diverse and that all of us come from different backgrounds. Many of us have different entry points. Many of us have used Godzilla as an escape during vulnerable points in our lives. What has that looked like, and how has it shaped us into who we are today? And I have found through those conversations that I've learned so much more about myself, about everyone else, about experiences far outside of my own privileged, narrow view as well. And I think that it just showcases how Godzilla really brings people together. And hopefully having those stories out there will serve as like representation for the fact that, you know, our fandom that we once thought was super duper small is actually far bigger than we often give it credit for.
You just got to go to G Fest and you'll see.
Oh, absolutely. G-Fest has gotten so huge.
We got a whole new hotel just for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Donnie, thank you for speaking up and for creating that space for folks that need it. I think it's safe to say that for any of us, like in our communities and our posts and comment sections, like if you're gonna be a piece of shit to somebody, like none of us are gonna tolerate that.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've had to clean up my comments a little bit lately of people just again, criticism's fine, but like extending into attacks on the person themselves is just not okay. Especially like in my context where I mostly talk about toys. I mostly talk about
Mm-hmm.
toys. If you're gonna be a piece of shit over a toy, like sorry, go do it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to speak to your the whole like bystander effect, Donnie, like I've started just commenting, being like, hey man, that's really not cool. If you're gonna do that, go somewhere else. Like making it explicit, like I'm not okay with this. And I think for any of us, anybody that's watching, if you're seeing behavior that is uncool, just take a few seconds to say it. Just say, "Hey, that's really not cool."
Hmm. Yeah.
Because I have so many examples of this. Because there was a couple times actually over my years on the hellscape that is Twitter that I still use for some reason. Because
Mm.
so that one we were talking about it, KaijuCanuck. We were talking about like misrepresentations of Godzilla movies. Like
Mm,
one of them, for some reason, like there's some people that think that -1 is fascist or something,
yeah.
and there was like a comment that the director made, like he wanted to make movies for fun, and then for some reason there was a quote tweet that said, "Oh, so he's fascist" or something along those lines, and it made no sense.
Yeah.
So I was I hid their name, but people eventually found it, started quoting, responding, just because they had like a trans flag and they're trans. Instead of like criticizing them for the point, s- I think I think most of them did, but there was a lot of people that still attacked them just because of their identity.
Ugh.
Hmm.
Not the thing, not the point. It's like if you do something wrong, or like if you like disagree with someone over something, and they'd be like, "Well, you're gay," and that's the
Hmm.
only thing they have to offer. It's not like
What an
constructive,
original insult! Oh, God.
like that's supposed to like show them
Hmm.
Yeah.
like that. It has nothing to do with their comment. It should be about you know that it isn't fascist, but they're going after their identity. I know some people will be like, "What? Well, they misjudged and like they're calling the director fascist, so what, let's attack them for identity, eye for an eye." But that's not going to help anything by just doing the exact same thing, that going out of nowhere, over the top over something that has nothing to do with their comment in general, just
Hmm.
because like it's not going to help anything. And it's just people use these types of things as excuses to attack people for their identity. I myself am Christian. I've been born Christian. I've been raised as a Christian. I see this kind of stuff, and the Bible would never tell me to do this. That Jesus would not do this. This is not what he taught. There's lessons in the Bible that specifically show that this kind of behavior, that attacking people over this stuff, is wrong and is no better if you do that. And he says that he loves everyone no matter what, and we should treat everyone with respect. And
Mm,
that's what I do, no matter what, even if they're not not religious or something like that, or
Hmm.
they don't have the same like identity or like values as me. As long as I treat them the same as I would myself, or even better, that's what God would do.
mm,
But people use that specific thing
Hmm.
without any of the context. Like what I said with you, KaijuCanuck. They take something and take out all the context. They use something like the Bible because, like I said, anything that is good, like meant to be good, anything that is created with intentions of being good, like doing like courteous and like generous lessons like the Bible, they'll use that and use it for hate, for something it wasn't meant to be.
mm,
And they'll use it to attack people, like we gotta kill the gays, we
Hmm.
gotta throw them in, you're all a bunch of blah 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 blah. You hear all that stuff.
mm,
and, and they will just like take one person that is genuinely a horrible person, they'll put it on every single other person just because it is a scapegoat. It's always like that because they have to straw man every stereotype, anyone. It can be as harmful as attacking a person in real life, like serious consequences, or it could be something over a movie. Like people will take things out of context so it can fit their narrative, because at the end of the day, as much as we say, "Oh, I'm willing to like discuss stuff with people," they won't actually do it because our caveman mentality is that we want to be superior to everyone and we don't want to be challenged. We
mm,
don't want to actually like conform or like actually have a genuine discussion, because that's very hard to do. It's much easier to ignore everyone, being a group that automatically agrees with you.
Right. Yeah, it's tribalism, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the example of the person calling Yamazaki like making a fascist film, like that one's particularly outrageous because like the point there is very easy to contend with, and instead you just sort of swerved around it and went after the person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes that specific case like just so ridiculous. And for what it's worth, Rick, like the values that you have a Christian, I would say I share those values as somebody that's not particularly religious. Like I don't
Mhm.
really feel like going after people unless they pose some kind of existential threat to me or my family.
Yeah,
So
I feel
so
like that should be common sense. Like
you
my
would think so.
Well, and Rick, what you were describing also was empathy, right? Like that's really at the root of all of it. And
Mhm.
I feel like the internet and the anonymity like that the internet creates for people emboldens a lot of hate because they can just, go drop some hate and then just, you know, move away from it, move on to the next thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Internet trolls, we've heard that term for decades. It comes down to generalization. Like people like that will make these gross generalizations. I mean, I can give another example. What kind of led me to doing the receipts video that I did was I had somebody comment on my Instagram basically saying like, oh well, the rest of us don't want people like you in our fandom. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
So like I like screenshotted it because that's what I do. I keep everything. I screenshotted it and I was just like, I don't really think this is the take. Like we are here. Like, why are you overgeneralizing what the rest of the Godzilla fandom thinks
Mm-hmm.
about like marginalized people being present? And and this was a person who was kind of insinuating that by simply talking about Godzilla being crucial in my growing up experience and like, self-actualization, becoming like self-accepting, right? That like, I was trying to make Godzilla gay. Like, uh,
It's funny
no.
because Toho like posted a trans Godzilla fans stop motion animated short one time, the coming out
Yes.
one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they deleted their account or something because of complicated things. I don't remember why, but I wish they were still here. But
Mm-hmm.
they did post that, and Toho still approved of like Godzilla Save the Earth with a same sex couple
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
from Matt Frank, and even because there's this whole thing on Twitter. Like every time I post the fact that Tomiyuki Tanaka said that Godzilla 1954 could have possibly been female because it would have explained why Manila it exists.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's like 54 was actually the mom, and then the rest of the show is actually the dad. So I kind of think that's kind of heartwarming in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
sad as well because that actually would be really cool. And I don't really care if Godzilla is male or female, but that would have added a lot to Showa and Godzilla as a character for the rest of the Showa series, that he actually forgave humanity
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff, and then went with his son as a single parent. That would actually be very emotional, especially in the end of Son of Godzilla. But people just have this perception they don't want anyone else to have it. It's like, no, he's got King of the Monsters, even though that's the
Yeah.
Americanized version of it, and
Well,
it's
and
set
if
400 feet tall, even
if
though it's 100
anybody
feet.
if anybody is uncomfortable with that or what I was describing earlier, I would ask the question of those individuals of where does that discomfort originate from and why?
Mm-hmm.
We already
Because
have a canonical female Godzilla in Godziban as well,
mm-hmm,
and that's where people use. It was the person that created Godziban actually explained why and everything to
mm-hmm,
me, but it's a little bit I don't remember it all. But
Mm.
basically, the puppet that they use for the female Godzilla, the mom, is Godzilla 2000 Miragoji. So a lot of people like to headcanon that the Godzilla from Godzilla 2000 is female, and they
That'd
and
be
a lot of
dope.
people, mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty
I,
cool.
I don't know. I would love that. I'd like to see like a Godzilla and female Godzilla. I think that'd be cool.
And the beauty of it is that it's okay for people to have that as their headcanon, right?
Yeah.
And if
It's not really
someone,
hurting anything.
yeah, if somebody doesn't like that headcanon, well, then you don't have to adopt it as your own headcanon. It is a very straightforward, no pun intended, thing to kind of consider.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.